undergrads, like 41%.
All right. So today's Thursday, day 2 of our AI agent week for us. Now, today we're gonna finish up unit 11 here. If you remember, the learning activity broke up into 2 parts. We did Lang chain on Tuesday. Today we're gonna do Crew AI. So if you want, you can open up this learning practice and get the first couple of blocks running, load in some of the libraries and stuff like that. And we'll revisit, we'll get to that in a sec. I'm going to go up here to our learning resources and just talk a little bit about, give you a little background about what we're doing today. First, on Tuesday, we looked at Lang chain. And Lang chain, if you remember, we could create prompts and get the results from prompts and take those results and feed them to other prompts. And we could program kind of our own chains. That's the name of this whole thing, is language chains. We could chain together a series of prompts to try to do more complicated stuff. There are ways to create agents here and to use kind of a memory system here, which we didn't get into. It is not the easiest thing to use. The prompts aren't too bad, but it doesn't necessarily have the abstraction, I think, that we want. So the next thing we're going to learn is based on LangChain, but is a new thing, and this is called crew.ai. There are a dozen different AI agent kind of structures or companies or things like that that are out there now. And so it's really hard for me to kind of pick what to show you. Certainly I can't show you them all. Crew AI is a very popular one, was one of the first ones out there and has a lot of people. It does require some programming, which I thought was okay in this class because we're doing a little bit of Python programming already there. But just be aware, so a lot of them follow this sort of structure. Just be aware that there are ways of doing this now, or there are developing ways where we won't have to do programming. You would just drag and drop or create things and stuff like that. But it kind of shows you what can maybe be some more power used from, or more capabilities from, large language models by building more of these complex structures here. So what is Crew AI? So Crew AI, we create these agents. Each one is like a separate, like, large language model LLM personality. We give it a personality, what it should do, what it's trying to do, and we'll feed that to the language model before we feed it a prompt for it. So we define these agents here, and then we define tasks that we want to do, and tasks are then assigned agents. We say this, when we define a task, we list what kind of agent, what agent will do that here. And we list a group of tasks. And generally, and once we put that together in a crew, a set of agents and tasks, we can tell the Crew AI to just kick off and run. It'll go through and do all the tasks using the agents. There are also something called tools in here. So like if you want to be able to search the internet or look up stock prices, or and you can define your own tools, look up the dictionary, look up something in Wikipedia, something like that. You can, there's a whole set of tools here, and then you can find your custom tools that your agents can use also here. So again, mainly it's setting up agents and tasks and putting together one crew. That's what we'll be using them, is this sort of stuff. So again, these agents, like this says, they're kind of these units, these standalone, they're called objects, and we'll just use words to describe what they're going to do. I'm going to go and open up this tutorial notebook here. and which just does a really basic job, or for this. Let me just get this started here. And again, just like before, we've got to import a bunch of, or install a bunch of things. Now, in the past, when we were just using like simple models and stuff, older models, and even like neural networks, all the libraries for that are built in or preloaded into Colab. So we didn't have to load them. But now we're getting into some newer stuff. This stuff isn't preloaded in Colab, so we have to do these installs every time, which is kind of a pain. But once you do it, it has. So all this is saying requirements already satisfied. So all this stuff is actually already installed here for us. Because I'd already run it earlier today in this session. Then we're going to do our imports, and we're going to set up our large language model for us. And just like before, we have a couple choices of what large language models we can use. And I'm going to try to use the same format as we did on Tuesday, in that we have a Hugging Face model, we have a Google Gemini model, and we have OpenAI, and we have like a GPT 3.5 or a DaVinci, our two models. And again, we can swap in and out by uncommenting these and commenting these. Right now, Hugging Face is uncommented, so that's the model we're using in this particular example here. And then if I just ask, it'll just type in LLM, it'll tell me remind me what model I'm using for this. And so here's the simplest approach, building an agent, giving it a task, and creating a crew. This isn't a very big crew. It's a crew of one with a task of one. So, but it's kind of illustrates the point. So the agent, we give the agent a name. I'm calling it research agent, and we say agent, and we do our parenthesis, and we have a number of things we have to configure. The role, this is kind of the title of it. Maybe you can think of a job title or something like that. So here we're going researcher. The goal that this agent kind of does in their job. So like here it says find and summarize the latest AI news for us. And the backstory here, you're a researcher, a large company, you are responsible for analyzing this, stuff. So this sort of stuff is, again, just done in text here. And again, it's not that important what text we put here. Now, if it's a short text string, we can just put it in single or double quotes. Either one is fine. If we want to go over multiple lines, we have to use triple doubles. So 3 double quotes here at the beginning and the end. And then we can go over multiple lines here. So here, one way of seeing that. And again, line spacing is not that important here. It's just that we have a triple quote at the beginning and the end. Now, here we're turning verbose on, and it'll show us a lot of the work. And while you're developing things, I think that's helpful. We tell each research agent has to use an LLM. You could have different LLM variables. Right now, we just have one LLM variable, but we could define multiple ones like LLM 1 and 2, or Google LLM or Hugging Face LLM here. But here we just set the LLM to whatever variable we have. And again, if we have tools, we set that up. We'll see that in a sec. So that's our agent work. Then we need at least one task. So here's find and summarize the latest AI news for this week and the expected output. Now, I'll just warn you, if you look at some of the examples online, they won't have expected output. That used to be an optional field. It is now a required field. So if you are trying this or trying examples that are out there, anything that's more than a couple months old probably is missing this part here. In fact, a lot of the ones I've seen were missing this. I've had to add this in. So again, tasks need a description, expected output, and then what agent. And so this is our variable name up here. See, that variable has to match this one. And again, we can do triple quotes in here if we want a longer description of the task over multiple lines. On this, we certainly can use triple quotes to go over multiple lines if we want. So we have an agent, we have a task. Now we need a crew. So for a crew, we just list the agents, and this is just the comma separated lists inside square brackets. And then the tasks, and again, comma separated lists of tasks in bracket and square brackets. And again, verbose is just what do we print out? And right now we're printing out a lot, so we can do it. Once we have a crew, we say crew.kickoff and it'll run. So if I run this, it'll start executing this agent and it'll display information. It is different parts of this will use different colors to display different things here. So the first one is the researcher task getting forward, and you can just, you can just kind of see it starts creating some text about itself. My personal goal is this, and a thought is this, and I must use these formats. And so it set up this text as so that it can feed it as prompts into our language models for it here. And then it's trying to find AI news, the newest AI news. And it doesn't do a very good job because it doesn't have access to the internet or current news. So it can't actually find, but it does its best. So it just makes up stuff. It kind of like sometimes when we ask students to answer a question they don't know the answer, they just make something up. So so AI is advancing rapidly and is being used in a variety of industries. That's a really good statement there. AI is being used to improve customer service, automate processes. So no real news, but some okay statements here for this. So, and again, it creates this, and then we print off our results here for us. So let's do the same thing, but let's give this a tool to use. So we're going to set up a tool. There's a couple different services we can use. DuckDuckGo is a search engine that has a nice interface we can use and is an API we can use without a key. To get access to Google, this Serper tool, we need a key for that, but we have it. I've got a key for that. And that'll kind of be more like a Google search. And so just like before, if I wanted to use one or the other of these, I would uncomment them here in different ways. I'm also going to just grab today's date because I want to ask it to find news within the last week of today. So I'm just grabbing and setting the today variable to today's date here. So it'll have that. So here's my researchers, the same here. Now I'm creating a task description with the date. So my new description is find and summarize the latest AI news for this week, which ends on, and then I'm putting the day's date on that string. So I'm using that as my description. And then my output is a bullet item of the top 5 most important AI news for this week. And my agent, a research agent, and here's my tool. So for tools, in square brackets, I list the variable up here that I define my tool. I created my tool, and then I create and then my crew, again, is my agents, and my task is just have one agent and one task here. And I'm kicking off my crew, and hopefully it can actually search the internet to find out some interesting things. And so it might start taking a while to run here. One of the tutorial videos that I watched on this talked about different types of thinking and how large language models kind of use like what I would think of as like off the top of my head thinking. You just ask them and they just reply and they'll make up an answer or give you the best answer they can, but they really don't think about it or analyze the problem and that sort of stuff. So if we want to try to get better work at looking at different possibilities, analyzing different things, pulling in from different data sources or whatever, we have to do it. And so that takes longer. And so you can see it is trying to do different searches here. So it actually creates these queries and says, you know, you can see you're a researcher and you only have access to this one tool, and this is the tool you should use. And then it tries to do this and get some results here. But again, it takes a while. So while that's running, I'm just going to walk through this multi-agent example. So again, this is an example. Maya has this video here.
The verge of making it controversial first.
Yep.
I think in our second write-off, the questions are like similar to the part B. It was supposed to have like same questions, but I don't think we're good.
Which one?
Yeah, like the write-off B has like exactly the same questions as the write-off.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes, you don't, there are only two parts of that, I guess. So yeah, let me show you that. So in your write-up, part B, I forgot to delete this. Oh, are they? Maybe that's the problem. Let me look. So no, this is the Crew AI link. When I duplicated it, I think I forgot to delete this third part. So we should be doing part B. The write-up should be Crew AI. Oh wait, no, generate, yeah.
Yeah, the links are like mixed, like actually for the part B, it's in the right space is for the part A.
Okay, let me look at that. So you're saying this one?
This one is actually for part B.
That one is for part?
Yeah, yes.
All right. Yeah. Interesting. I did somehow I swapped, and then this still says part A up here. Oh, okay. So yeah, you may to find the Crew AI ones, you may have to do this link here. You want to get to this where it's section 1 should be using Crew AI to prep for an important meeting. So that's the one, find that one. That's the one you want to do today. And then make a copy of that and rename it to fit. Good point. Okay. So this is one you want. You want to find the write-up that says where section 1 is use Crew AI to prepare for an important meeting. And it's probably going to be this one here. So I goofed up the links. Okay, I'm going to jump back to this video. So Maya just walks through this, and again, she talks about different ways of thinking and works on a problem. And she wants to wear Crocs in the wintertime. Who would wear Crocs in the wintertime? And so in order to wear Crocs in the wintertime, she wants to invent plugs that go in the holes of the Crocs so you can wear them in the wintertime. That's $1 million idea, obviously, here. So this is what she walks through and creates Crew AI. So she goes through this whole thing. It's a fun video. Oh, I don't know what fun videos you watch, but it might not be cat front, as fun as a cat video, but it's close there. So that is this multi-version example. So here we have a market research analyst find out how big the demand for my product is and suggest how to reach the wild possible audience. And then you are expert at understanding the market demand. And so you can just see the descriptions here on the backstory and the goal of this person. We have a technology expert here. Assess how technologically feasible the company is. They're doing a startup company and what they need to succeed. You are a visionary in realm of technology. And again, just describing what this person should be as our backstory. And then we have a business development consultant. You are a seasoned professional with expertise in shaping business strategy. Your insight is essential and describes what this person should be doing for this. And then we have a couple tasks here. And I just named them task 1, 2, and 3. Task 1, analyze the market demand for plugs in the holes of Crocs here. So the iconic footwear is less like Swiss cheese. Write a detailed report of it. So that's what our marketer is going to do. Our technologist is going to analyze how write a detailed report describing the technologies that the business would need. And we want a 10 bullet point item from that. And then our business consultant will summarize the marketing technology reports here. So again, there are a couple ways of setting these up. We're running basically sequentially. So the first task we'll try to get, and it'll feed into the second task, and that'll feed into the third task as we go. Now, there's other hierarchical and other ways of setting up these crews, but we're not going to be covering that in this class. So again, when we create our crew, we list our 3 agents, our marketer, our technologist, and our business consultant. We list our tasks, task 1, 2, and 3, and the process is sequential. Here. So one input from 1 will be fed to there. So it'll start with task 1 because that's the first one listed. It'll take the output of that and automatically feed it to task 2. It'll take the output of that and feed it to task 3. So we kick off the crew and it starts the marketing person works and then feeds that information to the technologists, and they feed that information to the business analyst or whatever here. Sometimes I run into issues with this where, again, basically these are just orchestrating large language models. All these systems is creating more complex prompts to feed to large language models and then taking the results, creating those into new prompts to feed back into large language models here. So you can kind of see as we're working some of these prompts that it's feeding from. So here's a prompt. You are a market research analyst. You are expert at understanding market demand, and that's your personal goal is to find out how big the demand for my product is. You have only access to the following tools. You don't have any tools here. Delegate work to a coworker. You can delegate work to this coworker in this way and set things up. So we have this, but sometimes these prompts get too large for some of our systems, depending on how it works and when you run it. So in this case, it doesn't succeed. I actually get this error with my number of tokens here going too over this the max token that I have listed here for it. So this actually doesn't get a result for this. But again, with some search engines and some settings, it will get better results for this. So. Another thing you'll see sometimes is this agent stop due to iteration or limit. It'll keep repeating something over and over again for a set time. So you sometimes have to, in the tutorials and in the documentation, all works perfectly fine. But my experience is that these work about half the time here. some of the searches work better than others. So I'm gonna switch this back to DuckDuckGo search, which gives me a little less longer results. And again, some of the large language models will tend to work better than others here. So maybe I will try a different large language model for one of these. Sometimes from some of these, we have a max token limit, and I just delete that to open that up a little bit more here. So now I'm going to rerun this with ChatGPT 3.5 and try that. So again, it's creating a list of bullet items from this last week, and it's doing a little better job at getting some results here. It seems like, you know, Saudi Arabia's $40 billion AI initiative, 2020 being the year we truly utilize AI. Let's see how that goes for this. So run. See if my multi-agent one will run with this. Okay, so now what do you have to do? Your stuff is broken up into kind of a couple sections. Section 0 just installs the library and initializes everything for us. So you always have to do section 0. Section 1 is just an example that we walk through. So let's say you're going for an interview at a company and you're sent the names of the people who are going to be interviewing. You might want to do some research on who's there and who's going to be interviewing you for a job here. Or you're going to another meeting here and you want to just prepare. Saturday morning, I have a steering committee meeting, and there's 5 people there. I just want to be reminded. I only go to a steering committee once a year. I want to just be reminded who's there and that sort of stuff. So this is kind of a prepare for that sort of meeting sort of stuff. We have agents, a research specialist, an industry analyst, and a meeting strategy person will run that. We have these tasks here. Report summarizing. We'll basically look at each participant and their summary and their company here, analyze major trends that are going on, stuff. So there are 4 different tasks here. And then we get the input from the user. Now, I don't know if you've run this one yet. I'm just going to show you this. I don't know if we've done this much in our stuff, but these are little input blocks. So we ask, what are the emails from the participants? And you can type them in here. So you could just type in, or you have to type in something when you run this one. And I'm just going to use as a sample here a couple emails from a recruiter at DigiKey who hires our students a lot, and our careers email address. And for the context, I'm going to say we are meeting with DigiKey recruiters to plan upcoming campus events. And then our objective is a plan for how students can prepare for the recruiting presentation. I'm going to enter those in. Now, one thing's new about this is that it creates what is called a context. Generally, if you have 4 tasks, each task just feeds the next task. But here we want the 3rd task to be able to look back at the first 2 tasks. And the 4th task, we look at all 3 previous tasks. So the context just defines it. And you really don't necessarily need this, but in this example, they had it. So I'm going to continue this here. We build up our crew and we kick off our crew here and we run through it. And it should look at everyone's emails, from their emails, figure out what companies they work for, research those companies, try to figure out what's currently happening at those organizations, and prepare kind of a prep worksheet for us to prepare for this meeting. So this, you can see it's doing all this stuff. It's going to Wikimedia, it's pulling things out, it's finishing some chains, creating some talking points, discussion angles here. So that's creating as it goes, gathering more information here. And here's my results here. Now, we can display it this way. If we do it in Markdown, it just, makes it a little prettier. So, and it's supposed to summarize this stuff. Here, it did not do a very good example way. Sarah Johnson, Vice President of ABC Corporation for 10 years. So we were talking to DigiKey. It did, and I gave it the recruiter's information at DigiKey. It should have been able to track down. Austin has a website presence and stuff like that. Should have been able to track that down here. So it doesn't actually get this correct here. And again, it's not researching. It got lost somewhere along the line here for this one. So it does not get a very good result. Now, again, if I try to select different large language models, let's see what large language model did I use here. I go up in section 0 and look. I'm using Open GPT-3 here, but I'm wondering if the search tools I'm using may not be. I don't know what search tool I'm using for this, but that might be a problem. Which of the search tools I am. Okay, so your job is to run through that, answer these questions. What are the agents? What are the tasks? What's the input that you use? Pick it off and do the results. And again, I would say at least half the time the system crashes or fails to get the results I want here. And other half it works fine. So that's, and then your next task is create your own chain. So let's look at that. So I'm going to skip over 1 and go to part 2 here. Create your own chain. Select an LLM here. Set up your agents. And so I just have kind of a template agent here. So I'm sorry, but when I was setting up these sample agents, all I could think of was secret agents and James Bond when I heard the term agent. So my template agent is James Bond. So British secret agent, save the world is your goal. Your backstory is your famous secret agent with a license to kill. So you can change this, so what do you want this agent to be in? And I want you to come up with an example with at least 2 agents and 2 tasks here. So think of something. So like I said, what I did last time is I want to come up with biographies of family history members. I do a lot of genealogy, my wife and I. So I want to be able to come up with a life story of one of our ancestors or, here. So maybe I'll update this. So maybe, oops, I gotta make sure I make a copy of this because otherwise it'll change it for good. Okay. So again, I want my agent. Maybe I want a family history or historian agent. And feed in some new roles. And so your job is to think of something you want to do. And certainly if there's some assignment for some class you want to do, I mean, you can do this class, you have to do postings there. You can write an agent to create your discussion posts. If there's maybe you want an agent to find a job listing for you or find some jobs or give you a report on the newest March Madness standings or something, you know, in one of your classes or whatever. So your job is to figure out some sort of agent or you know task you want this person to come up with here. So and fill in and just change all this stuff. You are a historian. Helps.
Yeah. I just asked. Wait.